Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me for practice. Today we are going to focus on rotation. There's a lot of our joints that don't get the kind of mobility that they have the capability of, as well as what they deserve. So today we're going to focus on some gentle movements that give us some of our different joints some good rotation. So today, first we're going to start out standing, and we're just going to start by taking a few deep breaths, and we're going to inhale through our nose and exhale through the mouth. We're going to do that 5 times. And 2 more on your own time. We're just using this time to settle into the practice, taking some space and some breaths from the day that has come before us or the day that is to come. And as you finish your last exhale, we're going to start by just doing some rotations of the ankles. So keeping most of your upper body still, but feeling the pressure on the edges of your feet, going in a clockwise motion. And we're going to do 10 rotations. This is 3, 4, and just really focus on the edges of your feet. We stand on them all day long, but rarely do we actually recognize and pay attention to the sensations that we're feeling. So I want to take this time to really feel the soles of your feet, as this is the way that we connect with the earth. 9, and 1 more. And switching directions to go counterclockwise. Taking this time to really settle in, and taking this time for yourself as we've come to be quite busy during the day. So taking just this little bit of time for yourself to move and feel and sense your own body. We'll do 1 more. And coming to stand firmly on our feet, just taking a couple rocks back and forth. Again, noticing the sensation that you feel. You may even come all the way up to your tiptoes, all the way back on your heels, or you may just keep it light, just back and forth. And coming to place them firm on the ground, getting comfortable, maybe a little wider than hip distance apart. We're going to stand firm in our feet, keeping our shoulders as still as we can, and starting to just rotate your hips in a clockwise direction. And again, we're going to do 10 rotations each way. And I really encourage you to take the time to slow down, because I think this is what really gives us the time and the moments to sense the micro movements in the macro movements. 6, we'll do 4 more. 7, 8, 9. Completing this one and going in the opposite direction. And really notice the sensations that you feel in the different areas of your body. You might be feeling some of the pressure again in your feet. You may be feeling some pulling in your back body and your lower back, maybe in your hips. Do 1 more. And coming back to a straight position, kind of rocking at your feet. And this time we're going to focus on our sternum. So keeping our feet and our hips and our shoulders where they are, and doing like a barrel roll. Really arching your back, concaving, and then pressing your heart outwards. So you start to do some circular motions with your spine. And just really wringing it out, as our spine has a lot of flexibility and a lot of range of motion. But a lot of times through the day, it kind of stays in one position. So this is a good exercise to just get some movement back into our spine. And going the other direction. And again, focusing on the small movements that you make and what muscles those engage or stretch. We'll do 2 more. And coming back up to center, and kind of doing a little roll out, doing a little jiggle. And now we're going to do our chin. So using our chin and imagining that with the flat part of our chin, we're going to draw a circle. So pressing your neck all the way out as far as you can and bring it all the way back as far as you can, that's going to be your range. So starting out and drawing a circle with your chin. And again, trying to keep your shoulders still as we're trying to isolate the different parts of our spine. And really feeling the difference between what it feels like to move our hips, what it feels like to move our sternum, and what it feels like to move our neck, our head. And going the opposite direction. We tend to use our head for a lot of yes or no gestures, but how often do we use it to make circles? To stick our neck out as far as it can go and retract it as far as it can go. And last one. And from here, we're just gonna give it a little shake out, move it around, and moving into the shoulders, we're gonna do 10 small circles with our arms, first going one way and then going the other. You can choose which way you want to start with, whatever feels most comfortable for you. And we're just gonna slowly make circles with our hands. Really extend your fingers out to the wall. This will give you an extra stretch through the full length of your arms. And notice what your shoulders feel like. Do they feel crunchy? And switching directions. Do they feel free? Do they have a limited range of motion? And 5. Eight. And drop them down to your side. Again, just give yourself a little wiggle, a little jiggle. And we're gonna do some bigger arm circles. This time almost doing like an airplane, kind of using it as a whole body motion. But for this one, we're gonna go forward first, really making as big of circles as you can, as close to your body as you can. If you need to bend your knees, bend your back, move your hips, go ahead and do that, whatever feels comfortable. But just trying to make as big of circles, reaching that widest range of motion that you can. And don't forget to breathe as you're doing this. And again, notice. What muscles do you feel activated? What do you feel like is being stretched? Are you noticing any tension in one area of your body more than another? And switching directions, going backwards now. And same concept. If you need to move your hips, your back, your neck, feel free to do so. I just want you to focus on making the largest circles that you can with your arms and extending your fingers out as far away from your body as you can. Again, don't forget to breathe This is an easy one to forget to breathe. Go ahead and come back down to center. Give yourself a little wiggle, a little jiggle. And this time we're gonna do something I like to call seaweed, bringing in a little fluidity into the body. I want you to bring your feet a little wider than hip stance and firmly plant your feet into the ground. And I want you to focus on your hips. So we're gonna pretend that we're seaweed, just flowing in the ocean. Starting with our hips, I want you to stick your hips out and let your head follow. So your hips go one way, your head follows. And just keep doing this. Keep flowing back and forth as if you were seaweed in the ocean. If it feels right for you, you can even close your eyes. This can be a very soothing motion and exercise to do. And if you feel like you're going slow, I want you to go just a little bit slower. Again, noticing all the different aspects of your spine that are moving. Where do you feel it the most? Are there any areas that feel tighter than others? And just keep it going. If you want, you can add some arm movements into it. You can place them on your hips to help you move, pushing your hips from one side to the other, or you can just keep them at your side. And coming slowly back to standing straight up. And this time we're going to move with our head first. So rather than leading with our hip, we're going to lead with our head. So you're going to move through and almost scoop the water with your head. Again, imagining that you're a piece of seaweed just floating in the water. If it feels easier to pull your heels off of the ground as you sway, feel free to do so. And again, don't forget to breathe. And coming back to stillness. We're going to now move to the floor. So coming down onto our hands and knees. Placing your hands directly underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips. And we're just going to do some barrel rolls. So arching our back and making a circular motion, arching your back down, out to the side and back up. And just making a circle with the center of your body. Again, bringing movement and rotation and flexibility into our spine. Really bringing out the juiciness. And moving in the other direction. Making sure both sides get a turn. And coming back to a flat back. From here, I want you to take your hands out as far as feels comfortable. And we're gonna do some hip rotations. So rather than barreling the body, it's gonna be more of a flat circle. So pretend that you are using the front of your hip bone of your pelvis to draw circles onto the ground. So bringing your hands out and coming as far forward and going as far back as what feels comfortable for you. But just starting to explore what it feels like to create circles with your hips. Seeing if you can feel a stretch in the outer portion of your hip. Can you feel any stretch in the side bodies? And again, remembering to breathe. Switching sides. And again, really focusing on the small movements that are nested within the larger movements. See how changing the rotation by even a degree, how does that change the way that it feels for you? Coming back to center, bringing our hands back. We're now going to come into a seated position. Whatever feels most comfortable for you. If sitting cross-legged is a little uncomfortable, you can use a block or a bolster, a pillow, or a blanket to put underneath you, just to give you a little extra support. It'll take some of the pressure off of our knees. And from here, we are going to do some neck rolls. You don't want to forget about the cervical spine. The neck holds our head up all day long, so really focusing on getting some extra rotation, some extra care into that portion of our spine. So I want you to take your right ear down to your right shoulder and just start rolling all the way back, bringing it forward, and just coming all the way around. We're going to do this 10 times on each side. What does it feel like? What does it sound like? Do you sound like Rice Krispies? Remembering to breathe. And again, just noticing the sensations in your body. I'll do one more. And switching directions. Does this side feel different than the other side? Does it feel more tense, more relaxed? Just letting it be okay for any differences that you might feel. Each side of our body is unique. And coming back to center. Doing a little wiggle, a little jiggle. And from here, we are going to come onto our backs. Slowly laying all the way back. You can give your knees a good hug. And I want you to keep one leg in, starting with our right, bringing our left leg long, and just holding our knee here. And we're gonna do more rotation. Guiding your knee to create a circle or as big of a circular shape as you can, and just feeling into the hip joint. Again, our hips are one of the joints that tend to stay in a pretty sedentary position throughout the day, sitting at a computer, sitting down to eat, sitting on the couch. We just want to give it a little love. And again, I want to invite you to just keep these motions small. There's a lot to learn in the slow, soft movements, as a lot of times we don't even notice the sensations of the large movements. And switching directions. So I want to invite you, if you would like, to close your eyes as you do this, blocking out other distractions and really focusing on what it feels like in your body. And from here, dropping your right leg down long, bringing your left knee into a hug. And again, starting those circular motions on the other side. How do they compare after moving one and not the other? Remember to breathe. And switching directions. Noticing the difference in sensation as you move the knee in one direction versus the other. Noticing the areas of the hip joint that feel a little more sensitive than the others. And not forcing anything. If one area is feeling uncomfortable or painful, I really don't want you to go more than past maybe a 6 or a 7. We never want to approach pain. And it's always okay to let off if it doesn't feel right for you. Do one more. Letting your left leg go long, shaking it out a little bit, a little wiggle, a little jiggle. And now I want you to bring both knees in. You can give your knees a good hug, maybe roll back and forth a time or two. But from here, holding onto both legs and doing big, wide circles, as big as you can, and giving your lower back a good massage. This is a really good exercise if you are having some lower back pain or just tightness. This is a good way to be able to give yourself a little massage. You can also use a racquetball or a lacrosse ball to put underneath your back if there's a certain point that needs extra attention. Pushing on those muscles on the back side of our pelvis, our lower back. And switching directions. It's always important to go both ways, as different muscles will be activated and stretched depending on the direction that you go. So I always encourage you to leave enough time to focus on both sides of the body. Remember to breathe. And coming back to center. And from here, raising both your hands and your feet and rotating your wrists and ankles. Now, if you need to bend your knees a little bit, if that's more comfortable, doesn't put as much pressure on the joints, please feel free to do so. Just do whatever feels comfortable for you. And we're going to rotate both the ankles and the wrists. Now, I want you to do this in whatever form feels most natural for you. We will be switching directions, so do take note. And as we're doing this, this is also a really great exercise to do because it brings all of the blood back into your center, into your core. And so it gives your heart a little bit of a reprieve from having to pump so hard as to get the blood to your extremities. We're going to go the other way. So sitting with your limbs up like this, you can also sit with your legs up a wall, make it a little bit easier. But this is just a good practice to kind of give a little bit of a refresh to your heart that pumps blood for us all day long and all night long. And I just want us to hold here still, holding your feet and your hands up towards the ceiling for 5 breaths. Can you feel the change in the blood circulation? Can you feel the blood flowing out of your fingers and out of your toes, down your arms and your legs, past the elbows and knees, and to your thighs and your upper arms, and into your torso. Now bringing your hands and your feet down slowly in a way that ever feels comfortable for you. And bringing your feet as wide as your mat and your hands out at your side, palms up, coming into Shavasana. And just notice the blood flow. Can you feel the blood returning to your extremities? Flowing back up through your arms, into your forearms and fingers, down your thighs and your calves, up into your toes. And just relax here. We're going to hold this for a few minutes as we let our practice from today sink into our bodies and integrate. I invite you to close your eyes. And again, just noticing the sensations of the body. Noticing the breath as you inhale and as you exhale. Noticing if your body feels any different than when you came to practice today. Do you feel a little more wiggly, a little more jiggly? Do you feel relaxed? Can you feel the stillness of your body as we lay here in gratitude for the effort and the time that we've put forth for ourselves today? Taking 3 more deep breaths. And on our last breath, I want you to inhale through the nose and exhale audibly through the mouth. We'll do that one more time. And starting to wiggle your fingers and your toes as we become more aware of the external world. When you're ready, rolling on, bending your knees and rolling onto your side. And using your arm to push you up into a seated position. And coming back into a position that feels comfortable for you. I want to thank you again for joining me for practice today, as it is important to show up for yourself And taking even just 30 minutes out of your day makes all the difference. So thank you.